Hey, this is Drafe, and I'm here for another exciting episode of my crash course in entry-level IT support. Today, we will be covering one of the most prominent issues in our tech world today, troubleshooting network and internet problems. I'll just start by saying that networking, in general, is not a simple concept. In my experience, networking is likely the most complicated part about computers and systems in general. I mean, making one computer talk to another computer via some wires, or even more amazingly, a phone having access to the entire working internet wirelessly. It's all practically magic. Okay, so let's start with some simple clarification. A network is literally any set of network connections. If you have one computer attached to a device like a router, a wireless router, a switch, or a network hub, etc., congratulations! That is technically a network. Doesn't even have to have an internet connection to be considered a network. Now, the internet is the network outside of your house. This gives you access to most of the things that you use your computer or phone for. Anything you upload, download, stream, email, etc. You use the wonderful internet to access all of the information available to the world, as well as play games and send memes to friends. A LAN, also known as a local area network, specifically refers to your local network, wherever you may be localized. So that means technically whatever immediate network you are connected to. Think of it like immediate family. You usually share the same house with your immediate family, mom, dad, brother, sister. They would be part of your local area network. Your cousins who live in another house, possibly another city, would not be part of your local area network. There are plenty of other things to cover with networking in general, but this is not a networking course. We are going to cover how to get a computer back on the internet. Moving on. Like we covered in the last video, when we troubleshoot, we always want to start with the most simple probable cause to the issue and work our way up to the most complicated. The internet doesn't work. Okay? The first thing we need to ask, how is this computer connected to the local network? If it is connected with a wire, we want to start by checking a few things. First, always remember to make sure that the cable is plugged in and secure. You can usually hear a click on both ends of a network cable, also known as an Ethernet by the way, when it is plugged into a network port. If it is plugged in and secure, are there any activity lights on either end? A network port indicates connectivity at the very least, and more often than not, blinking activity lights. If you do not see blinking lights, the cable might be bad, or the port itself might be bad. Grab a known working network cable to test. If a known working cable doesn't work, you have to figure out if the computer's network port is bad, which is bad news, or find out if the wall, router, or switch network port is bad. In this case, you want to use known working devices and cables to test your theories and narrow it down to which side of the connection is truly faulty. Now, I've mentioned hubs and switches already, and those can be used to expand one available network port into multiple ones. Simple hubs and switches will take computer network and internet connections and allow them to communicate with each other directly. With that said, if your computer is connected to a switch or hub, you will also need to make sure that an active internet connection is attached to that switch or hub. If everything seems to be in working order from the checks above, you always have Windows notifications to help you see what may be the issue. By default, on the bottom right-hand side of your Windows taskbar, if you are connected via a wired connection, you will see a little computer icon with a network cable if you are connected to the internet. You will see a wire sphere showing no internet access if you are actually lacking an internet connection. Sometimes there can be alerts in this area as well, but that is one of the last visual places to check internet connection issues with a wired network. Alright, so the issue is with a wireless computer. What do we do there? Well, since there are no cables, we start with the basics of wireless troubleshooting. Is it connected to a wireless network? In the same spot on the bottom right hand side of your Windows taskbar, the wire sphere I mentioned before that indicates no internet connection could be telling you right there that it has no connection. In this scenario, you would attach them to any authorized network, specifically any network that they have access to. If it's you, it's your home Wi-Fi network. Your service provider should have helped you get that set up and gave you basic instructions on how to connect to Wi-Fi, including your SSID, which is the Wi-Fi connection's name, and its password. If it's your family or friends, ask them which Wi-Fi is theirs and get their password to help them get connected. Once they are connected, or if they already are, you should see a wireless connectivity symbol on the bottom right-hand side of your taskbar instead of a wire sphere or computer icon. After you have verified that the computer is connected, your next step is to check if the wireless broadcast point is in range. You can check this visually by the number of bars represented in the wireless connection icon on the bottom right-hand side of your taskbar. If you are connected with 3 or less bars, your computer might be too far out of range to use the internet effectively. Now, this next one's a twofer. We're going to check and verify 2 things. 1, are there other devices connected and working? And 2, are there too many devices connected? For starters, you want to know if any other devices can get to the internet. If you find out that all of the other devices on the network are also down, it could be a problem with the local router or service provider. You would need to check your router and or modem to make sure that the appropriate lights are blinking as intended. And while you're at it, if no other devices can connect to the internet and you're authorized, restart the router and or modem to see if that resolves your issue. You'd be surprised how many times that can fix most issues. Secondly, if you find out that they're all working, all of the other devices are on the internet just fine, it could mean 2 more things. It could mean that there is a software or driver issue with the device having the internet problems. Or it could be that all of the other devices are utilizing all of the available internet, streaming videos, downloading, etc. And this would cause web pages to load slowly, but not necessarily stop them from loading altogether. That's where entry-level IT support stops in regards to network most of the time. You go in, you make sure that things are connected as intended, and report back to the network or systems guys if everything is verified, tested with cables, blinking lights, and the system information. Sometimes. Other times, the network or system guy is unavailable, and you gotta try a few tricks that you've learned on the internet. Okay, so what is command prompt? Well, command prompt is one of a few tools that Microsoft provides to run commands against the computer itself to either provide information or run actions on the computer, such as installing a program, restarting the computer, restarting a service, and then the list is pretty much infinitely long. Today, we will be using command prompt to gather information from our network for an escalation to our network and systems team, and running a few commands to hopefully fix our network issue without the need for that escalation. You can open command prompt by searching for it in Windows via the search bar in Windows 10, or you can use the Run tool to call it. The Run tool is similar to the Run New Task feature of Task Manager. We will be using it to call our command prompt. To call the Run tool, hit the Windows button and R key at the same time. When the window pops up, enter CMD in the text box and press enter. A black window should pop up, and this is our command prompt. Now that we have command prompt open, we are going to run a few commands. The first one we will run is ipconfig. Type ipconfig into the command prompt window and press enter. You will see a readout starting with Windows IP configuration. For those who don't know, an IP address is essentially your computer's address on your network. It is a lot more complicated than that, but for the sake of this course, you need to collect the following data for escalation just in case. The IPv4 address, the subnet mask, and the default gateway. I won't go into too many details, but these 3 numbers are essential for network communication. And these numbers, provided to a network technician or systems administrator, can help them determine if the computer is getting the right address. But let's just say you're the only one on call today and you gotta do something. You've already collected the data on this computer. Now, let's try a few things. There are subcommands that you can run with ipconfig to tell the computer to get a new IP address. The first command we will run will drop the current IP address from the computer. So you need to have the second command ready to go to attempt to reconnect. So the first command we will enter is ipconfig /release and press enter. After the first command has successfully been run, then enter ipconfig /renew. If there is a failure during the renewal process and you verified that there are no other obvious connection issues, then this means that some advanced system work needs to be done, and this is not covered in this series. we will have one last command to try. This command should only be run as a last resort when you really can't find any other solution, as it resets all network settings to defaults. Be forewarned, this will require a restart to complete, so make sure to save any work before running this command.
Note: this needs to be run in an administrative command prompt window. Search for command prompt in the Windows search. Right-click the application from the search results, then choose Run as Administrator.
In the command prompt window, enter netsh space winsock space reset and press enter. I have had this save me from network issues only half the time, but it was awesome to have the command available. After this command completes, you will be instructed to restart the computer to complete the configuration change. Alrighty, so that was a bit more complicated at the end there, but the real takeaway from this video is that you need to get familiar with networks, how to troubleshoot wired and wireless connections, and how to provide additional information for your tech team to help. If you are working towards managing a network for a business, you need to not only master your own network at home, but actually get some training and or certifications focused on network management. If you are working towards helping support a network with a team, this information is a great starting point. Okay, so let's go over what was covered. We clarified a few simple terms such as network, internet, and local area connection. We covered troubleshooting a wired connection. We also covered troubleshooting wireless connections. We briefly covered the Run tool in Windows, a very useful tool by the way. We covered command prompt and how to use ipconfig to gather information, attempt to renew the IP address, and even initiated a command to set our network configuration to defaults as a last resort. Now, this specific video was a bit more generalized, and that comes back to my first point. Networking is really complicated. I actually have a degree in networking, and it is the one part of my technology career that has always been a little shrouded in mystery. Even though I've helped support dozens of small business to enterprise level networks, this series is a starting point and should cause you to ask more questions than you had coming in, and that's what it means to be an IT professional. If you are a good IT professional, your research will never stop. You will always be required to further knowledge to keep up with the ever-changing world that is technology. Oh, and as always, if you have something to say about the video, feel free to supplement the information or blatantly contradict me in the comments. Thanks.